This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast with Mike Kinnett and Ryan Herbet of ProStatus Financial, now celebrating 20 years helping families build successful retirements and lasting family legacies. Mike is a financial planner and estate planning attorney with a master's degree in tax and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. Ryan is a 5-star Wealth Management Award winner and top-ranked financial advisor by Forbes. Now, the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast.
Well, we keep hearing about the great wealth transfer, and that is an estimated 84 trillion with a T in wealth will be passed from baby boomers to the next generations by 2045. But there was an opinion column on Bloomberg News that calls that a delusion. Ryan, why? Well, because boomers will be spending much of that money on their future health care, including long-term care. So we just talked about the ramifications of not having a tax plan and paying taxes while you're alive, while you're getting older, while you're vulnerable in retirement. But then when you pass that wealth over to your family, they're also going to take a tax hit. So you're leaving them with a tax bomb there. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I keep seeing, too, in my circle of friends, and I keep hearing you guys talk about is, man, God bless, healthcare and long-term care expenses. I mean, that's going to eat up a lot of people's retirement savings. What do we do about it?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, just like what we were talking about, by doing nothing, the government's going to take 20 to 30% of the money right off the top. So we're really talking about, we're talking about if you're close to retirement, you're age 55, between 55 and 70, we're talking about you, talking about your money, talking about the cost of healthcare for you. But, if your parents are still alive, we're talking about their money and their assets as well, because if they haven't done any tax planning, as they need to take money out to pay for their health care, well, they got to take out 20 to 30%. They're losing 20 to 30% right off the top to take that money out just to pay for their long-term care bill. So long-term care in and of itself is one of those necessary evils. It's that insurance that nobody, I think when you Google annuities, I hate annuities and you should too. You see a lot of negative press. I think the very next thing with negative press is long-term care insurance, because it's one of those things that you can pay on for years and years and years and then drop dead of a heart attack and poof, all that money that you paid into it is gone. It's one of those insurances that people, for some reason, if they buy traditional long-term care insurance, they want to use it. You pay for auto insurance every single month or every single year. You never want to make a claim on that. Yeah. You pay your homeowner's insurance. You never want to make a claim on that. You pay for life insurance, or some people pay for life insurance, and you're damn sure that you don't want to make a claim on your, your life insurance. But it's one of those things out there that can cost a married couple anywhere from $300,000 to $600,000 over their lifetime. And you absolutely want to have a plan in place for that. And whether your plan is going out and buying traditional long-term care insurance where you're paying a set amount of money every single year for a set benefit every single year, by the way, they can change that number whenever they want. They can raise that premium however high they want. And if you don't like it, tough, because they'll just cut your benefit. Or you can use, you can use life insurance that has a long-term care rider attached to it that says you can use part of your death benefit every single year for the cost of long-term care. Or you can be like some people where they say, you know what, we have money set aside for retirement. We've made sure we have the income we need. Now we have this other pot of money. Let's just dedicate $300,000, $400,000, however much money it is. We're going to set that aside, and that money is going to be our money for long-term care. That's our private pay scenario there. But it really is all about having a plan. Mike and I talk about plans for retirement, plans for income, plans for taxes. You want to make sure you have a plan for this. That way, when you get to that point, this is because you can't take care of yourself anymore. You want to have a plan in place so your kids or whomever is going to be taking care of you at that point, they know exactly what to do. Here's what mom and dad did. Here are the steps that they took. Here's what we need to do to make sure that they're taken care of. And if you want to find out more about what a plan for long-term care truly can look like for you and your family, I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040, 597-1040. Or you can visit us on the website at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. And this is one of those things, Mike, that I see it a lot. I see it with my clients' parents. This is kind of what they're dealing with. Personally, we kind of just went through this process with my grandfather. My grandmother passed away two years ago. I think she passed away suddenly 2 years ago. She passed away. So my grandfather at that point just, couldn't take care of himself. He moved in with my parents. My parents then, they had just retired. My mom finally retired. They were getting ready to live that life that they've wanted, doing the traveling and all that stuff. But then all of a sudden, they like to say that they went from being footloose and fancy free to having a toddler again in their home, having to take care of him every day. And so eventually they had to bring in aides to be with him 20 hours a day, somebody at nighttime and somebody for the rest of the day. And then those other 4 hours that was on my parents. And the cost of that, it was probably like $14,000 a month.
Yeah. And
they did that for 2 years, $14,000 a month for 2 years. Now they finally got to a point where he's now moving into a nursing home to have some more advanced care so somebody can be with him 24 hours a day. Now that's costing him $16,000 a month. He was beneficial in the fact that he has long-term care insurance. That's paying for a good bit of that care because he actually thought this is something that we should do. That way my kids are not going to be responsible. They're not going to have to spend down my assets to do this. I've had other scenarios that haven't worked out as well. And, just this past week, I was sitting down with some newer clients of mine. We'd been talking about, here are the steps we're going to take for retirement. So the very first thing we do when you come in the office is we make sure we have the income that you're going to need for retirement. Then we look at the overall risk that you're taking in your portfolio, and we're making sure we're taking the least amount of risk. Then we move on to the estate plan. Make sure you have your wills, your powers of attorney, your advanced care directives, all those documents that you need. And then we move on to long-term care. That's kind of the natural progression of everything that we're doing. And so recently my clients, they heard me on the radio and they came in and we kind of walked through all these steps. And then he had a heart attack, kind of a gut check, a reality situation. He had this heart attack and he was hospitalized for about a month and he was finally discharged. And they said, all right, now we really want to have a plan for long-term care because we've seen how much it costs just for something like this. We can't imagine how much long-term care is going to be. So it was kind of our natural progression. Unfortunately, the heart attack happened. And so when Lawrence and I were sitting down with them, we said, all right, the numbers that we're going to shoot for is about a $300,000 benefit for each of you or a $500,000 benefit for each of you. Just that makes the numbers kind of easy to deal with and easy to grasp because the average cost in Maryland for a semi-private nursing home is going to run you about $300,000, about $100,000 a year. And most people are in there 3 to 4 years. So we ran out all these quotes. We sat down with them and we said, all right, here's how much it's going to cost for traditional long-term care insurance for you guys, where all the money you pay in, you can pay on it from now because they were 62 and 65. Every single year, you guys are going to pay $11,000 every single year until the day that you die or you go into this nursing home. $11,000 a year for traditional long-term care insurance. And their big complaint, like everybody's complaint, is, well, I'm going to spend $11,000 a year. And if I drop dead, of another heart attack is what he said to me, all that money's gone. I said, you're absolutely right. That is the one downside to traditional long-term care insurance. So let's look at using life insurance. Let's look at getting a $300,000 death benefit and a $500,000 death benefit on each of you. The benefit to these policies, it says you can access a portion of that death benefit every single year for long-term care if you have to go into a nursing home. Whatever you use up, that money's gone. If there's anything left on the death benefit when you pass away, that goes to the kids. And if heaven forbid you have another heart attack, well, that death benefit just pays out right away. And so traditional long-term care insurance costs about $11,000 a year for the two of them. To do this type of plan, I want to say it was about $13,000 a year to pay for that. And then they said, given the level of assets that we have, they're right at around $2.4 million altogether. And they have a couple extra properties that are kind of investment properties that they can liquidate. They said, we really feel that we have the assets that we need to private pay for this because we sat down with you months ago, and we made sure no matter what happens, we're going to have the income that we need to live on every single month. Should one of us pass away or one of us go into a nursing home, the survivor of us has all of the assets that they need and the income that we need. So what if we just said, we're going to set aside, I think the number for them that we decided was we're going to set aside $600,000, and we pulled $600,000 from their portfolio and set it aside in a separate account. That money right now, because of where interest rates are, that money is just sitting in CDs, earning 5.2%, 5.3% a year. And that is going to be the plan for them for the foreseeable future. Yeah. It's something that we're going to revisit again in the future. You know, here's how that money's growing. Here's how much it costs for long-term care insurance now. But going through the options, sitting down with Lawrence and myself and seeing here's all the options that are available to you. Here are all the pros and cons. That's the one that they chose. And having that plan in place, having a written plan in place that says this is what this money is for, should they both need to go into a nursing home, their kids can sit down and say, you know, Ryan and Lawrence took the time to say, here's exactly what they wanted to do. Here's how things are going to work. So it takes the stress off of my clients of thinking, you know, what are the kids going to do? Here's the plan that we put in place.
TheSavvyInvestorRadio.com, TheSavvyInvestorRadio.com. This is a great topic, and usually we're hearing about the market, of course, about taxes and so on and so forth, but this is something that a lot of people don't talk about until you have to talk about it, and then it can crush families, retirements, so on and so forth. I've seen it happen myself. So very important conversation, and thank you for bringing this up. TheSavvyInvestorRadio.com. Again, that's TheSavvyInvestorRadio.com. Click on the Income Analyzer button, and that will get you to their Calendly page, which is an online calendar, and you have control when you speak and see Ryan, Catherine, Lawrence, Mike Kinnett, and the team at ProStatus. Again, that is a 15-minute phone conversation. It's complimentary, and there's no obligation to that. That's TheSavvyInvestorRadio.com. Ryan, thanks again, man. Appreciate your time. As always, you get the final word.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thank you so much for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast, and we will see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.